We're rolling. What's up, man?
How are you, bud?
Doing good.
Good?
Dude, I woke up early and everything. I couldn't even sleep.
Oh,
like,
I didn't sleep at all.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
I haven't been. Well, he went on Wednesday.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
See you, man.
Yeah, same here.
He went on Wednesday with his son and Chris, but I haven't been since probably the third
3
week.
weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. So you
it's
had a
been
little bit of a lull.
I've been dying to go too.
Man,
So,
sick.
Yeah,
We're gonna have some fun today?
it'll be good.
Of course.
It'll
Heck
be good.
yeah.
I'm hoping it's gonna be
There
good.
she is, man. Looking good. Cool. Let's grab my stuff. All right, y'all. We out here with the legends. Got my man Scott, my man Mike, Ballast Point Team.
I felt it. That's right. Got it.
Daily rituals, huh?
Oh man, I'm gonna forget something because I'm so excited.
Uh,
I already know it.
well, as long as we got the plug in, I think we're gonna be all right.
We got the plug.
This is the incognito side right here. Man.
They say, is that down?
All right, we're good to go.
Ready.
You guys ready? I'm gonna throw some rain gear on real quick
Yep.
before.
So what's the game plan, Mike? What we got going, man?
We are going to go to the northwest side of the island. Start in Northwest Harbor, quick. See what's going on, then run around to the backside to the runway. Don't go too far down the back end,
Okay.
and then work our way back, and then try to finish back in Northwest Harbor in the afternoon when the wind's up on the Northwest Harbor side. It's gonna be unreal.
Sick. Target species today?
Sculpin.
Yeah.
Calico bass.
I like scoping though.
You know, we got a sculpin there.
Did you? Really?
Yeah, I
Big
couldn't
one?
believe
It was probably a big old headed
It was a good
bastard, huh?
one. We got a big old sheephead last time too.
Oh, nice. On the plastic?
Yeah.
That's always cool.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
I love those things, man.
Barbecued that thing.
Yeah, they're good eating too, for sure.
Should be fun.
Absolutely. So you were just telling me about your good old days in the 90s, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Largemouth head, huh?
Largemouth. Yeah, I fished a lot of ABA Western Outdoor News tournaments back in the 90s.
That's probably when they were drawing like 100 boats in Castaic.
Yeah, Paris we'd get like 130, 140.
No. What?
Yeah, back in the day with Higashi. And,
Wow.
I mean, also Mike Pua, all those guys were
Yeah.
all fishing team tournaments on Paris. And
See, I grew up looking up to Pua, man.
Pua?
Yeah,
Mike's
because he was
awesome.
doing it back then, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Pua and Aaron Herring were partners back then, and then Little Joe with his dad.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool. ABA was a fun. Just there was like a family of people, and
That's
it
cool.
was huge. I mean, you'd have 130 boats, but there was like 40, 50 key guys, Derek Rader, and all the old school guys. And it was back when the plastic worm wars were going on. That was like when Robo and Preferred Plastics.
So that was the
and,
beef back then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Now it's Swimbaits.
It was all about like who was fishing for Angler's Choice or Robo Worm or Raider,
yeah.
and now it's all who's fishing this swim bait or that swim
Oh,
bait.
yeah. Or clothes now. It's
Yes.
crazy, right?
It's gotten crazy. I mean, it's good. It's good for the industry, but it's,
some things never change.
Yeah, some things never change. It's a little different, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
That's good. That way, you know, everybody watching sees that you're tied into the actual bass fishing.
Oh,
you
no,
know,
for sure.
The heavy history of it.
Dude, I fished. Me and my old partner, we fished freshwater tournaments. I started fishing tournaments probably when I was about 13, 14.
Wow,
Used to fish
early.
at Bass Ackwards Bass Club.
Okay.
And then from there, started fishing ABA and WAN. And we just did team tournaments and stuff, but we won a couple Angler of the Years in
Heck yeah.
in Inland Empire region. And
That's you know, a big deal when you're dealing with that kind of draw and field, right?
sure.
That's a big field.
it is.
Yeah, because like today you're getting 20, 30 boats. Like my buddy fishing ABA, I think yesterday at Casitas,
Yeah.
20 something boats.
That's the norm now, though.
It
It's kind of
is.
sad unless you're going to fish like some of the desert lakes
Right.
and get some bigger draws. But
Yeah.
you know, 130, 140 boats on Paris.
That's
I mean, it
wild.
was crazy. And back then, the water was so high, you know, there was only maybe 30 key spots, and it was just a race to, you know, to get there. If you had fog, you're done. I mean, you're just out there. That was before GPS. You didn't have like GPS on your boat. It was like you were just flying blind.
Wow.
And it was
that's wild.
It was fun though.
That's cool,
fun.
man.
Really
But now
cool.
you're just calico bass on the
saltwater.
line.
I do still fish a little bit of fresh, but
Okay.
I mean, when you got calicos, you know, in your backyard that you can just run it like you used to back in the 90s for largemouth.
Okay.
Like, you got 5 to 8 pounders, 9 pounders are pretty. I wouldn't say they're common, but at least every other trip you're sticking 7 to 9 pound fish.
And that's a fish of a lifetime for most people.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
and
so-
they're here and they're willing to eat like I said, like the largemouth used to in the 90s. I mean, they just wolf pack, and they're aggressively competing, and you can get once you get them fired up and going. I mean, just to watch, you know, 15 or 20 fish chase your bait, and you can pick and choose. Like, you'll see a 3-pounder and you're like, no, and you see 4-pounders behind him, and you speed up so that one won't eat it, and you kind of steer your bait into a 5-pounder, and then you see an 8-pounder, you're like, no, don't eat that, and then it spits it out and the 8 eats it, and you're like, dude, it's
That's
freak
wild.
show.
Now, are you talking about calico bass fishing or swimbait fishing at Lake Casitas? Because
No,
that sounds
calico
real
bass fishing,
similar
very
to what
similar.
you're. Oh,
Very
man.
similar. Like back in the day, it's funny. At Casitas, I fished a couple of times with Bill Cemetel.
Okay.
Okay, and this was back in the day when he used to take the Torah tubes and he used to snap Torah tubes. We used to go through the trees and snap Torah tubes through the trees. Same thing.
Yeah.
You snap them, like actually snap them into the tree and get it all fired up, and you get two fish to react, and then here's a 10 and here's a 9 and here's a 7 and they just all come out. Same thing out here.
No, it's something that I haven't seen anywhere else in the freshwater world. You
Yeah.
know, those fish at Casitas behave like calicos do.
They do.
And only guys like yourself that have fished both fisheries can understand like that common, you know, behavior.
Oh, for sure.
They wolf pack hard at Casitas, or they used to.
They used to. Yes.
You know? So I'm excited to see it today, because
I
that'll
hope
kind
they
of bring
play.
me back.
I mean, the whole key out here for us and the type of fishing we do is sun. So
Mm.
if we have good sun and a decent constant wind, they'll come
bite
out.
'em.
They'll come out and chill themselves.
Cool, man.
For sure.
Sweet.
It'll be fun.
Excited to be here.
Me
Thanks
too.
for having us, man.
Of course, anytime. We're gonna fly out there, dude, and it's gonna be.
Let's do it.
We're ready.
I know you guys have had some fun on this bad boy.
Oh yeah. We've had this. I think this is our second year now.
Okay. How many hours you guys think you have on your motor?
560. I think it's a year and a half old.
Okay.
Our last boat, we had 6,000 hours.
Wow.
Then we blew it. Then we broke it in half.
No
So we
kidding.
blew the engine, then we repowdered it, then we broke it. Our last event that we fished, which was 2.5 years ago, I think it was, we broke it in half or something like that.
Wow.
We came in and the wrap was like off, and we just had a crack going up the side of the boat. But it was a 2000.
Okay.
So,
okay.
you know, it got, what, 15 years or 16 years.
Just
And the
beat-
owner previous before that, you know, ran the boat hard too. And that's why we went with the same boat again.
Okay. Sick. Yeah, I mean, you guys inspired me to, you know, go the sea deck route,
Yeah.
and it's.
It's a game
I don't
changer.
understand how every boat doesn't come out of the factory that way.
I don't understand it either.
Everybody that looks at my boat is like, dude, this is the deal.
Yeah.
And like the manufacturers just don't want to do it. It's
amazing.
crazy.
For what?
Sea deck?
Oh, I know. It's the best.
What are they
on
thinking?
Planet Earth.
What are they
I
thinking?
mean, if a bass boat company like Ranger would get away from the carpet and just make sea deck stuff,
Yeah.
change the game.
Everybody loves it.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It really is.
Sweet.
Doesn't stink.
Nope.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
We normally just run with one extra gas tank. But we brought two, so we can just full throttle it all day.
Animals. How long of a run are we making today?
58 miles.
Solid run.
Yeah.
Probably
A little bit,
58, 60 miles.
a little bit more from the launch ramp to the east end of Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit longer, maybe by about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different game out here.
Yeah, I took my son and Bone out on Wednesday, and so nice on the way home. We got home in an hour and like 15 minutes.
That's the nice thing about fishing in the winter, right? Offshore or inshore.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wind just doesn't blow, and it's just beautiful out there.
Today's supposed to be really nice. I think the highs it might get up to 8 knots today.
Miles later, huh?
Man, it's game time.
Oh yeah.
How are conditions looking for us?
Good.
Looking good. I wish the current was pushing the other way, but we'll get it this afternoon probably. But I like the wind already. So this little constant wind should be good. Just getting a little nice little chop. Water looks nice and clear.
We have no swell, so usually this is breaking
This is
really
usually
big.
breaking.
Right here.
Okay.
So we're gonna be able to get really tight too, which is
Nice. Get it right, get it tight.
yeah. All right, let's get ready.
Woo! Wish you guys could smell that. That'll wake you up. Give me the rundown, Mike. You make a bad cast or something, man? You're just burning that thing in.
So this is what we call fast winding, and pretty much it's got a 5-inch swim bait, little trailer on there, and we throw this thing out there and we try to burn it as fast as you can. You want to try to make that V wake with the bait, and then pop it out every once in a while so it looks like a fleeing bait, you know.
Epic. Oh, we got a follower.
And it will draw these out.
Reaction style fishing, huh?
Yeah, and then not only that, but one of the key things that's been a pretty good success for us is when they're clouding and it's a lot of 3-4 pound fish, we could actually pick which fish we want. Because what happens is the 3-4 pounders will come and we'll just wind faster and give them out, and then you see that 6-7 come behind it, and it'll come in, you know, and then we're able to pause it.
So there's a pretty heavy visual element to this style of
So
fishing.
when everybody else is, you know, stuck getting those 3 to 4 pounders, we're able to go a little bit faster and keep it away from them and pick the winning fish.
Dope.
And there's that thing called Braid.
There's a big
we were doing a show at Sergio, and I'm not a very good talker. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing great.
My words get stumbled, so I'm explaining the fast line, and I'm lost for words. And I'm all, yeah, you know, you just kind of go like this, and you know, you got to go, grade.
On an even, you know,
You know, like an even grade. You know, like an.
Oh man! Look at that. Okay, all right. Let's make sure you're rolling. Scott, why don't you give me a quick little tackle breakdown on the setup you're fishing?
basically just a Komodo 350 and 65 to 80 pound braid, and we tie direct straight.
Nice.
We're not really fishing deep around any rocks that'll chafe it or anything. We kind of fish right on the surface. The fish will eat it, and we don't really give them a chance to get down in anything that's going to break us off.
Gotcha.
But same thing, just a arky head. This is a little secret we do, is the little harness right here. We just take some wire and harness it so the bait doesn't pull down constantly.
Nice.
And little stinger. The stinger's not to actually catch the fish, it's actually to hold them. So what they do is they'll eat it and they'll get you wrapped in some of this kelp. And if they get you,
pin them in the kelp and
they
go
get
and
you
get
down
them.
in there with this one single hook, they'll almost probably, I would say, at least, ooh, dude. At least probably 20% of the time you'll lose them, and with this little dinky hook right here, you'll get a skin hook in them, and they'll get down in that kelp. And our hookup ratio, land ratio, is probably like 90%.
Wow.
And you can have 5, 6, 7 pounder pinned in the kelp for 5-10 minutes sometimes, and they'll be hung skin hooked on the inside with this little itty bitty hook. They can't trick it.
Amazing.
Out of the kelp at all. But a lot of guys think it's for catching short biters and stuff like that, but it's when they eat it, they eat the whole thing. And sometimes with that one little single hook in there, they're able to get down in that kelp and push it out and mess it up. But that little stinger, man, it's something really small, but it makes a huge difference. Yeah, actually, Mike, before, I never used to fish with stingers, and when I started fishing with Mike, he's like, man, you better put a stinger on there, you're gonna start losing giant fish. I'd hook 7s and 8s, and they'd kelp trick me in the kelp every time. And he's like, put one of those things on. I fished one tournament with him and fished a stinger, and I won't throw a bait without one.
Wow.
It's that big of a difference. You'll lose giant fish if you don't have one on.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
So Komodo 350. What gear
350.
ratio is that thing? Because you guys are fishing pretty aggressively.
This is like 6.3, I believe.
Okay.
It's a 6.4 gear ratio, 6:4:1.
So it's got quite a bit of line pickup.
It does, and if you fill, I try to fill them as high as I can to get as much line on the spool. That just gives us some more pickup. You want to try to fill it as high as you can.
Nice. And what's the rod that we're fishing on?
This rod's just the Guide Select, the Swimbait stick, Okuma. It's an extra heavy, 711.
So this is a new rod. This is a prototype that's going to come out this year.
This is what we've been fishing for probably the last 1.5 to 2 years, and then this is the new PCH prototypes that are coming out.
Yeah,
they should be out pretty soon.
PCH Custom. This is a 7.6, and this is a medium action. This is perfect for the fast wines. We want that little bit of a tape, the tip, soft tip. So when they do grab it, it gives a little bit of release on it.
Sick. Now on these bites, are you guys swinging? Are you guys winding through?
No,
what's the technique here?
We'll wind through as much as we can, because most of the time the initial bites are little. They're little fish.
Okay.
So we'll pull, and then we actually will see them. Once you get a visual of what you have going on, you'll try to, because the more you pull the bait away from the fish, the more draw, and you just keep drawing them. If you can draw a fish 5-6 feet, the community that's down there will just keep seeing it, and it just fires them up, and they just keep coming, and then you'll eventually see the one you want to stick. And when that thing eats, you pound it. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, you hit it hard for sure.
Drag, no drag?
Drag's as pounded as they can go.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't give them anything.
Love it.
With the straight braid, we're able to keep them on the top, and try not to get them in the rock. Once they get in the rock, and we're kind of at the mercy of that, we try not to do that. You throwing a full body? I'm gonna fast one out here. Right? Yeah, it's hotter than roasting right now. But it's just cast till your arm falls off all day long until you find them.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy technique to do.
I thought fishing was like a lazy man's activity. Yeah, where are your guys' beer bellies at, man?
Yeah, right?
Lawn chairs stowed away?
Lawn chairs, bean bags.
Hey, the bean bags are legit though.
I know. We're actually gonna get a couple of those for our boat for sure.
Dude, yeah.
Gonna get a couple of those. We found these ones, dude, that fit right in the corners.
Oh, that's golden. Yeah, I learned that one from Jeff Crete.
Did you?
Fishing with him on his Freeman in the Gulf.
Dude, those Freemans are awesome.
Dude,
you
amazing.
Want to talk about
At first I was like, are we fishing out of a cat? Like, that's kind of weird. But dude, they're so stable.
They're
That thing's
amazing.
fast. Like, I thought it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Those are by far probably the best offshore boats you can run. Those
Yeah.
things are amazing. They're super buku expensive.
Absolutely. I think there's only one on the West Coast right now, right?
I think there's a couple. We actually ran one. One of our good friends, Robert Nguyen, he had access to one, and it was I think it was, what was it, 27? 27 or 29.
Smaller ones, huh? Okay.
And we took it lobster fishing to Catalina. Dude, it was like probably a good 4-foot swell.
No big deal.
It was blown. Oh, dude, that thing was, it had like I think it had like triple 300s on it.
Yeah.
And the thing would run like 50, 60 miles an hour, like it wasn't even there. Just guys sipping coffee. It was unbelievable.
Amazing.
And they're very stable.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think they would be tippy.
Not at all.
Not
I think
at
it's the
all.
opposite.
Yeah, it's like standing on a kitchen table.
Yeah. Those cats definitely handle differently.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I was impressed with that thing. If I had, if you have $500,000, it's the way to go.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, boys, I'm pretty impressed with this bad boy. Finally on it.
This thing runs real well. Pathfinder's done a really good job. It's unfortunate that they're all the way in Florida. The closest dealer they have is in Texas. And a lot of guys on the East Coast, Florida, Texas through Florida, run these boats. They're very popular back there, but I've probably only seen maybe a handful of Pathfinders out here on the West Coast, but they're super stable. They run rough water real well, and we can get super tight. It drafts like 11, 12 inches, and it's the boat for sure. Fast.
Super sick.
Come on.
So what class fish is on the radar today? What are we okay with? What are we happy with? What are we excited about?
We're happy with 4 to 5 pound class fish. If we can get into an area that has, where we see quite a bit of 4 to 5 pounders, that's what we're basically looking for. Typically, if you get in an area that has, 2 to 3 pound fish, 1 to 3 pound fish, the bigger ones usually aren't there.
So they tend to school by size.
They do,
Okay.
and you'll see it. It's pretty amazing. I mean, you can run a whole bunch of water, and you'll come across 2 and 3 pounders, and you'll run it, and that's all you kind of see. You might see a 4 pounder, and then you'll hit an area, and every fish is 4 or 5 pounds.
Wow.
And then you'll see 6s and 7s running with them. So you definitely want to try to find those 4 plus pound fish,
Okay.
and typically that's definitely where you're going to find the bigger ones. And then depending on time of year, the bigger ones they can be pretty non-social too. They'll be right up in that stuff and
Isolated, just kind of a dominant fish on a piece of cover.
On a piece of cover, they'll basically own a rock up there and literally just sit on it, and they'll be in 6 inches to 2 feet of water and just own that little spot.
Sick.
They'll try to push anything and everything out of it, and but we've the last time we were out here, we're having a hard time catching really super shallow fish. Normally we fish very, very, very shallow, like I would say 7 feet and less.
Wow.
And for some weird reason, the last probably month, they've already been in what, like 12 to 15, 12 to 20?
A little bit deeper zone,
deeper,
huh?
yeah.
Huh.
And I
But
know,
still coming up on the surface for this fast wine?
oh yeah, still, I mean, we pretty much, that's all we,
Nice.
I don't think I've thrown a traditional swim bait, like a swim bait head and a swim bait in
I'll do it for
6
fun.
years.
Just, and giggles.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if we sandbass fish or something, you got to get down deep for them. But for calicos and stuff, it's surface, subsurface, surface stuff.
So I overheard you talking to Mike about some of the radio banter this morning. Tell me about some of the challenges of fishing here.
Yeah, this, the Navy runs this island, and it's all housed by Navy SEALs and military, and so you have to check the scheduling quite a bit because they use this place as a target. They bomb it, and they're always running some type of stuff up there. Either like right here, this is the 50 cal range. They'll be shooting 50 cals all across here, all the way up to the point. They pop claymores on this beach all the time inside here. And
I think this is the third phase of SEALs from the Blood School.
Is it? Yeah. And if you look like up here, we call that like Little Fallujah. They've got it all decked out to look like Iraq or
Oh,
Afghanistan.
wow, okay.
Like you can even see that little dome up there. It looks like a mosque. On the
Yeah.
left-hand side, and they train all through this whole area. You'll be fishing here, and you'll just start hearing gunfire. And as long as they're not, bombing and ships.
It's like fishing at Leg Lake.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely. But
Just kidding, guys.
they're pretty good with their scheduling.
Okay.
So, I mean, you'll definitely know if places are not able to fish.
But they'll have full-on war games out here too.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, there's times where this island's completely shut off. You can't
Right.
fish it. So, and they'll have subs here, and they'll have naval ships bombing the island from 4, 5, 6 miles away. And
Wow.
they'll have SEALs jumping out of helicopters, and it's full. It's the real deal over here. It's definitely the real deal. It's where all these guys train.
Well, let's get into a war zone of our own, huh?
Dude, I know, right? There should be one right there.
Hey, look at this.
Right there.
Oh, right here.
Come on, right there. Oh, I had a follower down there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was deep though.
We're gonna call this the first Calico challenge here for YouTube.
Right?
Get you guys excited and fired up. Who's gonna be first? Oh, I like where Mike's head's at.
Yeah, these are little ones. I had another little one.
So you guys see a 2-3 pounder, you don't even want to slow down, huh? You want to get it out of there.
Yeah, I mean, you want the draw.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You want to have that thing chase it, but you definitely don't want to try to pin it. You want that thing to chase it all the way to the boat, because that's how you get your larger fish for the most part doing this. Very rarely is it you're whining and the initial bite is a big one.
Oh. Hello.
Uptight.
Well, according to Scott, that wasn't a big one, so we're good.
That was like a 9.
That was like a 9.
All right, since we're on that subject, what are we talking about for PBs here, boys? What are we working with?
10-4 for me. Right off this point. Fast one.
No kidding.
In a tournament.
Sick.
Oh, it was amazing.
That's so sick.
I think it was bigger.
I think it was bigger. I think it was bigger too, actually.
Think you had a bad scale?
That was an 11 or 12 pound fish for sure.
It's
It's
okay.
10-4. So I mean, that's what it.
That's what that scale read.
Well, that's what I was told. The
Mm.
scale there.
How about you, Scott?
Me, 10-1.
Wow, so you guys are both in the double-digit club.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It's funny. The calicos, compared to largemouth fishing, catching a 10-pound calico is more like catching a 17 or 18-pound
Wow.
largemouth. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And 8s and 9s, they're not super readily available, but that's like catching 10 or 12-pound fish.
Okay.
Largemouth. So
you're gonna see
in a
probably-
season, you're gonna see a handful of them.
Okay.
But those 10-pounders, I mean, that's like, your fish you caught. I mean, those are, once in a lifetime. I know that it was photoshopped.
I wonder how long I can keep this charade up.
Yeah, but I mean, like a fish like you had, I mean, that's a once in a lifetime fish. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
a very difficult thing to try to reproduce. And 10-pound calico is the same way. I mean, you get so many of those fish that are like 9.8, 9.6,
Wow.
9.4.
So to actually break that 10-pound mark is
It's very,
not
very
easy.
difficult. It's not
Okay.
easy.
How about a 5-fish bag? What are we talking here? PB.
Tournament or just?
Sure. Let's in game and just for fun.
Tournament was 37, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think we had the 5
Wow.
pound bag. The one that you had the 10-4. Yeah, I think we had 37 that day. And then we've had
All calicos?
all calicos. Yeah.
Oh man.
And then
We've had 32, 33 mixed bags
Okay.
before, but normally we're in an island event. If we were going to average it out, we're in the 30 to 32 pound average.
That's insane.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've fished Clemente and not had, I mean, a small bag here is 25 pounds. That's like a small bag. I can't even remember. Can you remember the last time we had under 25 here?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's very.
Never happened to me.
I'm the first.
Yeah. But we have had, some mid 40 pound bags here.
Wow.
I think our biggest one that day that we had,
That was fun.
That was probably a 40, 42 pounds.
That's pretty wild.
And
pretty amazing. The first time Scotty and I fished is probably the best trip. The first time Scotty and I ever fished together was probably the most amazing trip to San Clemente Island ever.
yeah.
Were you guys twinning that day?
Probably.
Pretty close. Pretty close. That was back when Mike had hair.
Yeah. Oh no, that wasn't my hair hat.
I know.
So we both had different teammates, you know, fishing.
Oh, okay.
Different.
We used to be competitors.
So we decided, like, his partner went fishing with my partner.
It's
and
like, oh,
Scotty-
okay.
And Scotty came fishing with us, and we were like supposed to swap halfway through. But dude, Scotty and I were fishing together. We're like, dude, it's so good. Like, and it just, and both guys were having a good time, you know. And towards the end of the day, you know, Scotty, I've been doing the fast wind for a long time. It was taught to me, and then Scotty used to fast wind like slugs, and so I'm like, you got to try this. He's like, no, I'll just do the slug, and then do like, what do I get, like a 7?
Yeah.
Oh, and then I get like another 7. Oh, he's like, okay, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And dude, it was good. Dude, we had 8s and 9s clouding, and that day, Scotty and I was like, dude, if we ever team up, it's over. And because we both fish like really fast. Everything's the
Up tempo,
We fish very identical.
high energy.
Yeah.
I saw the can of Red Bull out already.
Oh, yeah.
5 of those. But, yeah, so we just had an amazing trip, and you know, everything just kind of, you know, we all went our way, you know, different ways, and we ended up teaming up, and it was game over.
It's nice when you find chemistry with another guy that you can just go out there and do your thing, right?
sure.
It's huge.
Well, I mean, you know, I've never had a partner that was on really 100% the same page as me. I was always wanting to catch big fish and fast.
Right,
And I
yeah.
always had partners that were, you know, they were more the catch and limit first kind of thing, or they were really good at catching numbers of fish. And I always was the guy that would sit back. This was back before weedless baits or anything like that kind of hit this scene. It was always all about the iron. And I used to just throw the iron just religiously. That's all I did. And you know, for calicos, if we were sand bass fishing, different deal. But and it worked out in some tournaments. Obviously, you know, I had a partner that would catch, you know, 2 and 3 pounders, and then I'd hang 4 or 5 or, you know, something on the iron, and it would work. But you know, me and Mike, we work so good. We have the same mentality, and it's
it's huge. It helps so much.
Cover water and just go and go and go. And we, over the years, we've built up that confidence where, you know, we could fish for 5 hours and not get bit, and we're still going to do what we do. And we know eventually if we cover enough water, we're going to come across the right ones.
Yeah.
And you know, we always do.
That's
We
legit.
always do.
Yeah, let's touch back on that whole, you know, back in the day, it was just the iron and a couple of bait options, right?
Yeah.
And now here we are, 2018, and you see a lot of the crossover coming over from the bass fishing.
Yeah, I barely
realm.
throw the iron anymore.
I
Wow.
haven't thrown an iron in a long time. I always bring them, but
I kind of just enjoy it because, you know, I just don't really get to do it most of the time.
Yeah.
So,
you know, you lose so many fish on them, and that was a big issue, especially tournament fishing. You know, and that was a big problem with the slug when the slug first came out, because it was a lot like the iron. I mean, your hookup ratio, your land ratio was like 20%.
oh, that's
if that.
horrendous.
And iron can be brutal that way too. I mean, it's just a big hunk of metal, and those fish, you know, if they grab that treble hook and they get down in the kelp, they'll stick one of those things in there and they'll shake themselves loose and they're gone. And
you can't throw the iron in the kelp as much as you can.
Right, you gotta
Yeah.
find open lanes and clean water. And
Correct.
well, and basically, I mean, you know, there's always guys, you know, back in the day that would fish freshwater style swim baits and salt. But what really turned the page, I think, for saltwater fishing was when Corey came out with that slug from MC. He basically, you know, everyone back then was fishing, like I said, was fishing iron or just regular traditional swim baits on a lead head. And he came out with that slug, rigging them weedless. And the hookup ratios were horrible, but man, it drew those giant fish, and it just morphed into this whole different animal, as far as it just opened a lot of people's eyes of what is possible. And then people started to take pieces of that and evolve it. And that's basically when guys started making bigger weedless baits that were slug-like.
Yeah.
And you could fish it the same way we used to fish the slugs. We never, fish slugs jerking them or anything. You throw them out and you burn them in. And guys started doing this, and then they started improving on the hookup ratio, and then you started figuring out, little trickies to keep them stuck. And now, with these baits, pretty much, you get bit and the fish eats it. They're in the boat. They're not coming off. And it's really cool to see, just in a very short period of time. I'd say 10 years.
Yeah, because I've been away from this for about 10 years, so I've kind of obviously kept my pulse on things and just watched how it's evolved.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's you had a lot of guys pouring baits in garages, and a guy would come up with a certain little thing, and everyone would initiate that on their baits. And then you had some guys that went way out of whack and designed stuff that was even, now you have weedless baits for everything. You could burn them on the bottom, you can burn them on the top. You have ones that are for really slow winding stuff that really just oscillate and move real good. You have ones like this where you burn and they're super small tails, but they wiggle crazy when you burn them. It's almost like crankbait fishing. It's you have a weedless bait for every little situation that you need, and that's how we kind of tackle it. There's not one bait like Frank from Big Poncho. He probably has how many weedless baits do you think he has? 30 or 40 different ones?
He makes one every week.
Yeah, he probably has 40 different baits, and they all do something different. And they're all for a
this
different
one, right? We're playing this game changer, and it's a 7-inch bait, right? And then next week he'll make, I got a new one. It's 7.24.
Yeah.
Not 5.
And it's 3 millimeters thicker.
Yeah.
And you can wind it like just a skosh slower. But you can see, if you look at this bait in the water, this bait moves. It's designed to fish a lot slower. That bait just moves and it does its little deal. This bait, you can fish it slow, but it's really designed to fish fast. And it really is just like crankbait fishing.
It's always great to have options.
Yeah, you pick a bait for the conditions that you're fishing. It's pretty incredible how this is derived, man. It really is. It's really taken off for, I'd say, the last 10 years. And I think Corey started it all with that slug. That slug started everyone's mind opening away from the iron, and wow, you can fish weedless stuff, and you can burn this stuff like an iron. It's like fishing an iron, but you can fish it right through the kelp. With the iron, you had to be so selective in the areas that you fish. You had to really make your cast count. If you got one little piece of grass on that iron, it wouldn't swim.
The fishability of
it is
challenging at times.
And then on top of it, the hookup ratio on an iron's horrible. It really is. They slap at it, and they'll eat it and get one of those little hooks in the treble in them, and then they'll bury you down in the kelp, and they're gone. And the fish that eat this, they eat the whole thing, and they're done. They get an owner beast in their mouth. They're not coming off, and it's just changed the whole game. As far for me, for calico fishing, this is all I fish. This is all I do.
Little ones.
That was real big. The first weedless bait I ever got was a Pearl. Pearl made one. The hookup ratio on that was pretty tough because we didn't have the trap hook. Then we'd have to take the beast hook and bend it out sideways.
Okay.
And then you have to, then you'd have to, because it wouldn't, you have to slice it so that, it was all that trial and error. I lost so many fish when that first thing came out. It cost me a lot of events.
We've done so many different things to try to hold fish over the years. So many guys have done things where they were taking, before these trap hooks, they were taking just these owner beast hooks, and they would weld extra barbs on them to try to keep fish on. Corey ended up making that hook for Eagle Claw, for trocar, with that rubber pin on it, so it goes through the fish's mouth and it can't back itself out, because it's a huge problem for calicos. They literally will get you right in the kelp and they're done. They are coming off. And guys, like I said, they would weld barbs on here. They would take these, they would twist them all the way out to the corner of the bait so that you get like a little screw hook set.
Okay.
And try to keep them on pin that way. And then guys started cutting baits to get a bigger gap in it. And then once the little trap hooks came out, it was, it's all over that.
I love it.
There's really no issues of losing fish anymore. There's no excuse, for sure.
That is one of the cool aspects, I think, of the tournament scene, especially even now in the saltwater community here in Southern California, right? It's pushed a lot of innovation, right? Competition breeds excellence, and people want to close that gap and minimize errors and mistakes and capitalize on opportunities, right?
Definitely. I think the inshore saltwater market, the guys who have innovated stuff in this market have taken old technology from freshwater and have just made it fishable in salt. And a big issue, like, I mean, perfect example is just regular swimbait heads, like Afrin, who came out with the warhead. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of weedless heads on the market for years and years and years and years, and they all work great. But he took that and looked at it and said, I can make it better, and built his design to where when it falls on its face, keeps the hook up, it doesn't fall, rotate or anything, get snagged anything, because a lot of the stuff that we're fishing is either gnarly jetty rock or, you know, reef with grass and kelp, and you know, it doesn't matter how weedless it is, if you get it down there, it's coming off. I mean, you're breaking it off.
Yeah.
And you know, Afrin really took that weedless head design and made it fishable for saltwater guys. And a lot of guys after him, you know, did the same. And I mean, you know, just like anything, I mean, a lot of guys, you know, get upset.
Oh, there's a little guy.
A lot of guys get upset, and they.
I'm just gonna keep rolling.
You know, and they get bummed. You know, guys are copying me, and this is that, and this is that. But it really, you know, it should be. They should take it as a compliment. I mean, it's guys coming together to make a better mousetrap. And without that, you know, what do you have? We'd still be fishing regular lead heads on the ground with no reed guards in salt. We'd be fishing the same old, you know, piece of iron that guys have fished for 20 years. And, it's really the innovation of the Southern California saltwater manufacturers, really, that
should just focus on catching fish, not feelings, right?
Yeah, right. Totally. But I mean, it truly is. I mean, it's in everywhere. I mean, obviously in the freshwater, saltwater. I mean,
we touched on it a little bit back in the day. It was worm wars, right? I mean,
crazy.
Come on.
I know. It was like every person that could pour a worm poured a worm, and they all had their little pro staff guys out there, and you had sweetwater worms and TD worms and robo worms and angler's choice worms and
JV worms, bonsai, American fishing products.
Dude, Barbara made some.
I caught my first 5-pounder on a little 4-inch.
Dude, her 10-inch, that 10-inch American Fishing Products, and then she made that 9-inch skinny that was just epic. But yeah, I mean, I was an Angler's Choice guy. I used to fish Angler's Choice. I love
Lowrider was my color, bro.
Dude, Lowrider, Purple Illusion.
Okay.
Purple Illusion, Tournament Craw.
They had all those crazy shad patterns too, like lightning shad.
Lightning shad, Grape Thunder.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
Larry made some really, really good stuff. And but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's so funny how fishing evolves. I mean, you got guys that when a certain thing comes into popularity, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, it was really freshwater team tournaments and tournaments out here. And everyone was throwing worms. So what did everybody do? Everyone built worms, and everyone tried to make a better worm.
Yeah, you'd walk into a tackle shop, and it was, you know, at least a couple aisles of just hand pours.
Just hand pour worms.
Yeah, now you go into shops, and it's like almost non-existent.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely changed.
And you know, and it's funny because now you watch the freshwater market. Now it's all about swim baits, and everyone's making their own little swim bait, their hard baits. Everyone with you know, PhD in Alumilite is making their own baits, and you know, doing this and doing that, and it's good. I mean, that's how you know, our fishing evolves. That's how we go from, you know, fishing a jelly worm to fishing the baits that we have now.
That's right.
And if you didn't have that,
the jelly worm made a little resurgence a few years ago.
So did remember creams? Those little cream worms.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know.
Don't worry, that was out of view. Nobody saw.
Like I said, I've never been a manufacturer, so I don't know the feeling of getting ripped off like that. But you know, from a fisherman standpoint, you have to have that to evolve.
Yeah.
You have to. And
it just comes a fine balance, I think, that people could walk, you know, more carefully.
Respect.
That's it. Yeah, it always comes down to respect, right?
I think that's a loss on nowadays. Everybody wanting
Man, you guys just sound like old heads.
Everybody whines.
Yeah.
You tell somebody to their face that you have a problem with them. Let's discuss it like a man. But no, they just.
That doesn't really happen anymore. It's just a lot of.
Dude, we got a hovercraft coming in, dude. Where's that hovercraft land? Does it land right here?
No, it was on the runway.
Okay.
That guy's boogie.
Yeah, he's flying.
Well, this is probably one of the best 32-minute segments on this channel, and you guys haven't even caught one yet. What's up with that?
One yet. Yeah, we're gonna wait until the mornings here lately have been a little slow.
Okay.
And it just gets better and better as the afternoon goes.
The thing is, we normally don't get to fish this area because it's usually all waved out.
Ah.
You can't get in here.
Okay.
So, this is just more because we can fish it.
Gotcha.
And if you get one here, you're stoked because you don't usually get to get, like, we're going to get in.
This is a bonus.
Yeah, this is just a bonus. Just to be able to get, look at this reef.
Yeah, this is sick.
But you might get that chance for a giant that hasn't been, seen a bait.
Harassed in a
Big old
while.
10
Yeah.
pounder sitting up there waiting for a perch to come by or something.
With Mikey Lanes to come by.
This is sick, man. It looks like we got a beautiful day. Got good conditions.
It's gonna be
We're
good.
gonna get 'em.
I think the
Good
afternoon's gonna be
company. The
really
vibe's good. You guys are twinning.
We are twinning.
What
Definitely.
phone
Look,
you
we
wear?
still have the same pants.
Dude, we got the same boots.
No way.
You're my man child.
That's a problem. So funny.
2018.
That's it.
Twinning.
Man, I better put some
Not
baits
winning.
on.
We're twinning.
Oh, look at this reef in here, dude. Look at this.
This is beautiful. Oh, I love the visibility.
Good. These come hot, dude. I've rode in those things, dude.
Doing like 40 knots,
Oh,
dude.
no. You just sit in, you can't see nothing. You're just
Till they lower the back.
Yeah.
They're all, you're doing this for an hour, and then. All right, guys. Run up that hill, 3,000 feet.
I'm dead for sure. 100%. I'm just kidding. That looked good. We will catch a fish in here, for sure. There's a little extra inside rag kelp in here. Always a fish.
Always a fish.
Always. I mean, not sometimes, but always a fish.
Elaborate on that. So what are you guys looking for in here? Are you guys just kind of running in here blind, not paying attention, just kind of going through the motions, or is there certain pieces of cover, certain types of kelp that you guys are targeting
Rag kelp, if
specifically?
you can find rag kelp, I'll show it to you when we get there.
Okay.
That's usually home to giants. For some reason they like it.
Big fish love that rag.
And there's a good little batch of it up in here. Like I said, this is just more of a novelty because normally you can't get
You
it.
die in here. Like you come in here. I mean, there's holes of boats sitting right up on the next point. I mean,
Wow.
guys roll their boats in here when it's on a normal day when it's busting in here. You can't get. I mean, typically we're sitting out here on the kelp edge because
On the
this
outside
all
edge.
breaks in here. It's kind of nice, dude. You haven't gotten touched up in there?
No. But right on this point.
On that point, yeah.
See that
Yeah.
little point
Oh,
right
I can
there?
see it.
They're gonna be sitting right on
See this little baby kelp growing right here? Like little
Mhm.
stalks of baby kelp like that. growing up
Isolated
here.
stringers like that.
You know what? A lot of times what me and Mike look for is we like 3 ingredients. We want 3 things. We want rock, we want grass, or kelp and rag. If you can get all 3 of those together in an area, typically it's good. And they will be in isolated patches of that stuff, but I mean, normally if you find the trio of cover, it's usually the deal. It's usually where they're at.
Sick.
You know, it's a lot like fishing a whole bunch of different trees. You know, you go and fish a lake and you have all these different cypress trees and
Yep.
oak trees and whatever you have in there, and
It's like Toledo Bend. Like
they'll be on
there's
one.
like 12 different kinds of vegetation and like 5 different kinds of trees.
Yes, and typically, you know, you can kind of isolate where you're fishing based on normally what kind of trees they like and what they're going to sit in. And it's the same thing here. A lot of these fish, they really like rag kelp. They really like this seagrass. See this grass that's growing on these rocks, this green grass, and that baby kelp. And if you can find all 3 of those in a zone, it's usually really, really good. It's hard to find all 3 of those. But usually you'll run through here, you'll find some grass, you might find a piece of kelp here, a piece of kelp there. But,
so 2 out of 3 is good.
2 out of 3 is good.
All 3 is gold.
All 3 is gold. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, when we see that, that's usually where the bigger fish are. For us, in the techniques that we use.
When does the baby gorilla hatch happen here?
The baby gorilla hatch.
Yeah, we gotta match the hatch today, right?
for the what was that?
For
thing
the
called?
gong.
Gong.
Think we can catch a fish on a gong?
We could definitely catch a fish on a gong. If we in the afternoon when they start showing themselves a little bit more prevalent, we could definitely probably tie on the gong and get some fish on it.
Prevalent?
Uh-huh.
Prevalent?
Dude, I'm schooled, bud. Okay, I'm a scholar.
Gotta be learned.
Hey, what's the rated show?
It's like a grade. You know, you gotta when you're fishing, it's a certain grade.
Is this like a kids course or?
See, this is what we like, dude. We like getting out and we just go out and have fun.
That's it, man.
And we don't mess around with a lot of the bull crap, and try to fish with people that we like and show people what this fishery is. I mean, it's an amazing fishery, and it's in our backyard, you know, and it's so isolated from Mexico to, you know, northern, a little bit past, I'd say Santa Barbara north a little bit, and out to these islands, and it's just a special species of fish that we have, and you know, you can't go anywhere else pretty much in the entire country or world and catch these fish.
Right.
And it's pretty cool to watch. You know, I just turned 40 this year.
What?
And I turned 40 this year, and you know, I've been inshore saltwater fishing ever since I was probably seven years old. And to watch, you know, the things how we used to fish when I was 10 years old, you know, fishing the breakwall with, you know, little 1/4 ounce lead heads and
that would all straighten out, and every
you know,
time
those
you
little claw hooks, and you would always bring up, we had a bucket, and you would pour like 100 heads, because every night you would lose 100 heads, and we'd pour these little we go to Barlow's and get those bulk little shrimp tails. There were those bulk shrimp tails, and that's all we used to fish. And we used to just fish the wall, fish all the Pier J, and fish all the bays, Newport Bay, Spotties, and to watch what it's become now. And I mean, dude, the gear that we have now to fish, and that the younger guys are able to fish with. I mean, when I was 10 years old, I would die if we had this kind of gear.
Oh, absolutely.
And were able to do this kind of stuff, you know?
I think, you know, you guys are in that generation where you kind of got the best of both worlds, right? You had to go through the ringer and deal with very limited resources and technology. And now that we have epic everything,
yes,
so you guys can really maximize on that and exploit it to its full potential.
Oh, for sure. I mean, dude, back in the day, I mean, you know, you'd go to the break wall, if you had 15-pound test or 20-pound test, like, that was huge back then.
Oh yeah.
And I mean,
we used to fish 10 and 12.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know what we were thinking.
I mean, I remember I used to have those, remember the old black TD, the TD Daiwa bait casters,
Oh,
the ones
yeah.
with the hood that used to lift up,
Yep.
with the little dots on it. And dude, I used to fill that thing up with 20-pound, and I thought I was like fishing for sharks. Like, that was like the biggest gear I had. And you know, I used to watch guys back then, like guys like Mike Gardner, Russ Dean, guys that used to fish the wall, like, you know, incredibly. And I used to watch Russ Dean fish with wire. I mean, he would literally wind on really, really light wire onto his reels and fish wire at the wall.
Wow.
And it was all before, you know, we had nylon lines and stuff like that, but it was way before Spectra or braided lines or anything like that. So it's a cool thing to watch and evolve. And man, my kids, I'll tell you what, my kids are going to be, they're going to be spoiled, man, from the gear that they have now.
Absolutely.
I mean, compared to what we used to have to fish with, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
My youngest is really into fishing. He comes out here now.
Dope.
He's 8.
Well, I'm psyched to be out here with you guys. I'm psyched you guys are down to open up and share a little piece of this awesomeness with everybody else that can't be with us on the boat today. And a point I want to make is I think it kind of goes back to an evolution of us as anglers and as people, right? Like, you grow up like kind of keeping things real secretive and not wanting to share, want to keep all this experience to yourself because it was so hard earned back then.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many crossings did you guys do where you just took an absolute beating wondering why do we do this?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And now you guys are like, it's all good. You know, you want people to come experience this, but I think that the big underlying factor is as long as people have respect, we're willing to share.
For sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just be cool.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not that hard.
It's not that hard. I mean, it's you know, when you're young, you take that kind of stuff for granted. As you get older, you know, you don't want to fight the fight anymore. It's
That's
like,
right.
I just want to come out and have fun.
I'm
with
short,
my boys.
right?
Yeah. Catch some big fish. You know.
This is the last place you should be like have any anxiety or stress over. You know, there ain't no custom worm battles going on out here anymore. We're just trying to hook the biggest fish we can.
That's it. And just, you know, just have a good time. It really is. I mean, it took a long time for me personally to get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really did, because I was in that tournament mindset for so long.
Exactly.
You know, I started fishing tournaments, like I said, when I was like 13, 14 years old. And to be in that mindset for that many years.
It's cutthroat.
It is.
It is.
And, you know, now me and Mike, you know, we get to come out and just fish and have fun, whereas years before we only fished because we were pre-fishing.
Yeah.
And it was fun, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different type of fun.
Yeah.
You know,
can't hang out with your boys. You can't tell them where the bite is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, Scotty and I would, you know, I think one year we did 24 events. I think it was.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot of events.
24 events. We fished both two different series, and we were pre-fishing at least once or twice a week. So,
But it was always super serious, probably, right?
it was. We had to find fish. We had to find patterns. It wasn't go out and just have fun. It was go out and find. You had to find fish.
Almost like work.
Yes. And
But that was great. But the
Yes.
problem comes in hand is you know, at that time, the people that can't do that or don't make the sacrifice to do it, you know, is trying to get information and trying to do that. And
Everybody's always looking for a shortcut, right?
right, and it's like, you know, we took a lot of time away from our kids, like our family time, to try to be the best,
That's
to try
right.
to win. And you know, oh, they don't want to say nothing. Oh, no, we just we're working hard for it.
That's it.
Like, you know, it's not just, here you go.
there are people that are built to tournament fish, and there's people that should just stay fun fishing.
See, I think
You know what I mean?
I think the problem is that we all grew up in the age where it was customary to chase someone's bite, right? You read
Yeah.
Western Outdoor News or Fishing and Hunting News back then, and it's like, oh, it's going off here, it's going off there, fresh or saltwater, right?
Right.
So you kind of almost subconsciously, you know, get pushed to jump into that mentality. Give me the shortcuts,
Right.
because you know everybody's time is valuable,
Right.
like obviously, but you got to give credit to the guys that are making those sacrifices, like you guys did, you know, and taking the risk and the gamble and putting in the time and the work. You know, all the common factor with everybody that does well is the guys that don't know any better just assume like, oh man, it must come easy for those guys. You know, they got the inside tip and knowledge in that.
The group of people that
Right.
they're surrounded with, and
But
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money spent, a lot of time away from family. It's a lot of I wouldn't say fishing for no fun, but it's fishing for a purpose, as opposed to fishing just to relax and enjoy it. You know what I mean? You're out there
really
fishing for a
competitive.
purpose.
oh, I feel you. Me too.
Uh-huh.
Always.
Like, I mean, you know, but I'm competitive against myself, in a
Yes.
sense of like, not that I get stoked, like, hey, I beat you, ha ha ha. No, like, if you beat me, then, and as long as I know that I tried my hardest that day, I'm winning, right? So I'm happy with that, and I'm stoked for you for beating me. But at the same sense, I want to win,
Oh yeah.
right?
I
But
still
not,
go
but
through
not
that.
in a jealous way of people. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
yeah.
I want to win. I want to be the best because that's how I've been kind of, you know, raised to do. Like, for instance, when I was baseball, right? If we lost, I would be put on restriction. Not because a fucking team lost.
Right.
The team lost, but it was my fault. You know, that's how I was brought up. Like, dude, you got to be the best. If you're the best, it doesn't matter if you're on the team or whatever, you're gonna win. That's how my mentality was.
You would own up and take responsibility. Right. Okay.
It wasn't my fault. My dad was just like. But I'm in I compete against myself.
I'm with you.
You know?
I can relate.
As long as I know throughout the whole day, like, we know what mistakes we made. We know, like, we should have done this and we done that. You know, and the one thing that I've learned, especially during tournament fishing, is understanding your gut feeling.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can understand your gut feeling,
That's
your gut
huge.
feeling's always right.
And that comes from experience. Right?
From time on the water.
Yeah.
You can't ask somebody how to do that.
You know,
if you're not willing to spend the time on the water, and that goes back to what I was saying, is there's some people that are built for tournament fishing, and there's people that fish tournaments that really aren't built for it. It's you know, for tournament guys, I consider myself, and I always will, a tournament guy. I'm very highly competitive, and I enjoy breaking down fish and finding them and being able to do it better than anyone else that's out there that day. And for me, you know, I'm willing to put the time, the effort, and the time on the water to be consistent that way. And there's so many guys that, of course, you know, they work and they do this and they do that, and they don't have that kind of time to put on the water. But that's not the working guy's fault.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's not my fault that I'm able to, you know, I make it a priority and other guys don't. I mean, and unfortunately, in our society, it's kind of turned to that. Everyone wants that free little tidbit, that free little this, that free little that. They're not willing to, you know, spend $200 and go burn some fuel and go find it and learn it, to where, you know, 3 years down the road, if they come to that same situation, instinctually they know what to do.
Right. That's when that gut feeling kicks in.
Correct. But if they're always asking for handouts and information and this and that and taking shortcuts, they'll always do it the rest of their lives.
That's it, man. You know, you can take platforms like that was deep.
Dude, that was deep. Remember Deep Fox, dude?
Deep Fox on the water with Scotty P.
What kind of decompression tools do we have on board, man? Like,
hey, you know what? I feel good, dude. Like, I'm good for like a month right now. I got so much off my chest right there. No.
Just let it out, man. Just let it out.
We're not even gonna make it on YouTube.
What's that? Oh, we're not really fishing though. This is all Photoshop.
That's it. This is all green screen. Those cormorants aren't really flying.
No.
There's no seals out here.
There's no seals.
Hovercrafts, come on.
Hovercraft, submarine.
Fake Iraq.
Fallujah. Dude, look at that hole up there. That was Bobby Martinez.
Oh, man.
Up there.
But it looks good, Bobby.
I can't believe it's still there. That was like 4 years ago.
My goodness. It is getting hot. It's crazy.
That's why they're not eating. I know what we need to do. We need to be on this edge.
You want to take over for a second?
I'll pull us out to that edge.
Out.
Sweet.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I think your boy's gonna get rigged up finally. That's probably when you guys are gonna start hammering him.